The meaning of immortality. Immortality means to the average person that man shall persist after the experience of physical death, retaining a full recollection of himself and the ability to recognize others. If his full capacities go with him beyond the grave, he must be able to think consciously, to reason, will, affirm, declare, accept, know and be known, communicate and be communicated with. He must be able to travel about, see and be seen, understand and be understood. He must be able to touch, taste, hear, cognize and realize. In fact, if he is really to continue as a self-conscious personality, he can do so only to the degree that he maintains a continuous stream of consciousness and self-knowingness. This means he must carry with him a complete remembrance, for it is to the remembrance alone that we must look for the link that binds one event to another, making life a constant stream of self-conscious expression. To suppose that man can forget and still remain himself is to suppose that he could cut off the entire past and at this moment be the same personality that he was a moment ago. Remembrance alone guarantees personality. Individuality might remain without remembrance, but not so with personality. For what we are is the result of what we have been, the result of what has gone before. Man, then, if he is to have an immortality worthy of the name, must continue as he now is beyond the grave. Death cannot rob him of anything if he be immortal. Where did man come from and why? It is useless to ask why man is. It can only be said of man that he is. For if we were to push his history back to some beginning, we shall still be compelled to say that he is. If man's life is of God, then he comes from a source which had no beginning, and so the question as to why he is must forever remain unanswered. Life is, and right at this point all inquiry into truth starts, and from this point alone must this inquiry continue. We are not so much interested in why we are, as we are interested in what we are. That we are some part of life, no one can deny, and keep faith with reason. Let us not bother about questions that can never be answered, but pay attention to those which have an answer. Man awakes with a body. When man first woke to self-consciousness, he had a body and a definite form, showing that instinctive life, which is God, had already clothed itself with the form of flesh. Body or form is the necessary outcome of self-knowingness. In order to know, there must be something that may be known. In order to be conscious, there must be something of which to be conscious. Some kind of a body or expression that always was and always will be, if consciousness is to remain true to its own nature. What is the body? Body is a concrete idea existing in time and space for the purpose of furnishing a vehicle through which life may express itself. The physical universe is the body of God. It is a manifestation of the mind of God in form. It is that creation which, while it may have beginnings and ends, of itself neither begins nor ends. The manifestation of spirit is necessary if spirit is to come into self-realization, hence body. We say that body is composed of matter, but what is matter? Science tells us that matter is an aggregation of small particles arranged in some kind of form. We are also told that matter is in a continuous state of flow. Strange as it might seem, we do not have the same physical bodies that we had a few months ago. They have completely changed. New particles have taken the place of the old, and the only reason why they have taken the same form is that instinctive man has provided the same mold. Our bodies are like a river, forever flowing. The indwelling spirit alone maintains the identity. If we assume that immortality simply means persisting in the physical body, then we already have immortalized ourselves many times right here on earth. The ether of science. We are now being taught that the ether is more solid than matter. We know that the ether penetrates everything. It is in our bodies, at the center of the earth, and through all space. This means that within our present bodies there is a substance more solid than the body which we see. This idea is very far-reaching, for it shows that we might have a body right within the physical one, which could be as real as the one of which we are accustomed to think. If instinctive man has molded the outer body in form, why should it not also mold the inner one into definite form? There is every reason to suppose that it does, and no reason to suppose the opposite. In all probability, there is a body within a body to infinity. In my father's house are many mansions. We do not depart from reason when we assume this. For, while we used to say that two bodies could not occupy the same space at the same time, we must remember that we were talking about only one plane of expression. The new idea of matter and ether has proved that more than one body may occupy the same space at the same time. For it has been proved that there is a substance which can occupy the same space that our body does. No doubt, as time goes on, it will also be proved that there is something still finer than the ether. This may go on to infinity. There is every reason to suppose that we have a body within a body to infinity, and it is our belief that we do have. The resurrection body, then, will not have to be snatched from some cosmic shelf as the soul soars aloft, but will be found to exist already within. Everything is from within, for life is within. The facts are conclusive that we have a spiritual body now and do not have to die to receive one. We now remember the past and have already lived the physical body many times during life. It looks as though we were already immortal and will not have to die to take on immortality. If there are many planes of life and consciousness, perhaps we only die from one plane to another. This thought makes a strong appeal and seems to answer the question completely. Some think that death robs us of the objective faculties, and that we pass out in a purely subjective state, but we are unable to follow the logic of such an assumption. To suppose that the objective faculties die with the brain is to suppose that the brain thinks and reasons. This is proved to be false through the experience of death itself, for if the brain could think, it will think on and on forever. No, the brain does not think, the thinker thinks through the brain, perhaps, but of itself the brain has no power to think or feel. Detach the brain and it will not formulate ideas, nor work out plans. The thinker alone can think. It is logical to suppose that we pass from this life to the next in full and complete retention of all our faculties. To know that we maintain an identity independent of the physical body is proof enough of immortality. This, together with the fact that the remembrance maintains a constant stream of recollection, and the realization that mentality can operate independently of the body, performing all of its normal function without its aid, and that the new theory of matter and ether furnishes proof of the possibility of a body within a body to infinity, and that the instinctive man is constantly forming matter into the shape of a body, shall prove to anyone that we are not going to attain immortality, but that we now are immortal.